In 1857 in the North Pole, a ship is stuck in the ice. Captain Anderson tells his crew to start breaking the ice around the ship, hoping that it'll help them move it. After a few hours of work, the ship's doctor calls Anderson to warn him that he can see some fire burning in the distance. Anderson and a few of his men go out to investigate and eventually come across blood scattered all over the ice. A closer look allows them to find a wounded man named Victor. As the group tries to help him, they hear a terrifying roar nearby. Everyone panics, so they rush Victor to the ship before grabbing their guns. Soon the crew sees a horrifying creature approaching them. They immediately open fire, however the bullets do no damage. The creature reaches the ship and starts attacking the men, bringing them down with outstanding strength. He then climbs onto the ship and tells them to hand Victor over. The crew refuses, so the creature starts fighting them again, easily bringing them down one by one. Anderson gets his shotgun and opens fire, finally hitting the creature hard enough to make him fall from the ship. However, he's still alive, so the men rush to pull up the ladder to prevent him from coming aboard again. The furious creature then starts pushing the ship, which starts to dangerously tilt. Anderson fires again, and this time he aims for the ice under the creature's feet, causing it to break. The creature quickly sinks into the frozen water. Moments later, the ship's doctor treats their guests' injuries. Victor warns them that the creature will return because he can't die and he'll kill everyone who tries to stop him. He also admits he created the creature, so when he comes back, he wants Anderson to hand Victor over. Then he starts sharing the story of how it all started. Victor is the son of the renowned surgeon Leopold, who married his mother only for her wealth. Leopold isn't home often, but when he becomes so controlling that he even forces his wife to eat when he tells her to. Victor's parents fight often about money and also about him, which always makes the poor child very scared. After those fights, Victor comforts his crying mother and realizes that his father hates them both. Leopold teaches Victor everything he knows about medicine and tests him often. If the boy gets an answer wrong, Leopold hits his face with a stick. One day, Victor's mother goes into labor and begins to bleed rather heavily. Leopold immediately rushes to help her give birth and the baby is born healthy, but sadly the mother dies in the process. Without her company and support, Victor begins to feel alone in the world. As years pass, Leopold spends all his time with his younger son William while Victor gets ignored. This treatment makes Victor wonder how his mother could have died under the care of the best doctor in the country. One day he finally confronts his father, accusing him of letting his mother die to get the son he wanted. Leopold simply responds that nobody can conquer death, so Victor swears that one day he'll master life and death themselves. That night, he dreams about a terrifying dark angel surrounded by flames, which inspires him to decide that he'll become a better surgeon than his father. In the present, the creature breaks through the ice and returns to the surface so he can search for the ship again. Meanwhile, Victor continues his story. After Leopold's death, William is sent to live with some relatives in Vienna while Victor travels to London and Edinburgh. For years, he does nothing but expand his knowledge as much as possible. In 1855 at the Royal College of Medicine, Victor proposes that humans can stop death and reveals the remains of the body of a shopkeeper. However, the arm belongs to a carpenter and Victor has stitched them together. He connects a device to the body and everyone is shocked to see it move. Victor is using an electric current and a professor calls this a mere carnival act, so to prove him wrong, Victor throws a ball. The body immediately catches it, proving that the brain is functioning and the muscles aren't just moving because of the electric shock. The professors call the project unholy and an abomination, pointing out that only God can give and take life. An argument ensues and the crowd goes wild while Henrik watches quietly from his corner. After disconnecting the body, Victor leaves the building. Henrik immediately goes after him and explains he was sent by William, who will come to visit Victor in a few days. William wants to introduce him to his fiancée, who is also Henrik's niece. When Victor asks about his presentation, Henrik says it was brilliant but also that Victor made mistakes because he was too excited. Henrik asks him to stay in Edinburgh for 3 more days because he'll show him something extraordinary. 3 days later, Victor visits Henrik at his residence and brings his research. Henrik explains he used to be an army surgeon and reveals a wooden slab with an entire nervous system preserved like a piece of art. They discuss the details of how the human body could store energy, which gives Victor new ideas to improve his project. Henrik offers to share all his resources with Victor and swears he only wants knowledge in return, although he may ask Victor for a favor later. Victor says he'll think about it and leaves to finally meet with his brother. William introduces Victor to his fiancée Elizabeth and they have dinner together. However, the mood is immediately soured when William says Victor has always been an attention seeker and Elizabeth calls him a fool. In the present, Victor starts coughing up blood, so the doctor gives him some medicine. Suddenly the crew outside begins to yell and a man comes to get Anderson. Apparently someone saw the creature getting closer, but Anderson takes a look and doesn't see anything. The crew is terrified and thinks they should get rid of Victor, however Anderson tells them that Victor is under his protection. Nearby, the creature stares at the ship. When Anderson goes back, Victor continues his story. A few weeks after the awkward dinner, Henrik takes the brothers to an old abandoned castle in the middle of nowhere. Victor finally takes his deal and tells him everything he needs to transform the castle into the most magnificent lab. Afterward, Victor starts visiting the nearest town, often to buy the bodies of hanged criminals, which he harvests for parts. One day he's surprised to see Elizabeth in town, so he follows her to discover she visits the local church to confess. Victor gets in the confessional first and pretends to be the priest to hear what she has to say. Elizabeth explains that her brother-in-law is an evil and cruel man, so Victor opens the window and realizes she knew he was there all along. Later during a dinner party, Victor takes a look at the books Elizabeth bought and learns she's interested in insects. She expresses an interest in science and the smaller wonders of life, which impresses him so much that he asks her to dance. During the next few weeks, Victor keeps on gathering bodies and visiting smiths to get the pieces of machinery he needs. He also starts spending more time with Elizabeth. His experiments aren't progressing at all and Henrik confronts Victor in private, saying he's letting a woman distract him. Henrik explains that the war will end soon, so he gives Victor one final week to achieve something. Sometime later Elizabeth visits Victor at the lab. He tells her that he feels a bond between them and tries to kiss her, but Elizabeth steps away and says she's already chosen William. After she leaves, Victor takes a bath to brood over his heartbreak. This fills him with inspiration and he finally realizes what his experiment has been missing. He changes the connection of the battery and finally makes a body move again. Afterward Henrik and Victor go to a battlefield to gather as many bodies as possible. For the next few days, Victor works hard in choosing only the best parts from each body to build a human being from scratch. Henrik occasionally visits to take pictures of the process. One evening, Victor notices that there's a storm coming so he gets the creature ready for awakening. Then he goes looking for Henrik and finds him hiding behind a mirror with almost no hair on his head. It turns out he's been wearing a wig to hide that he has cancer and he won't live for long. Henrik finally reveals what favor he wants from Victor. His brain should be transplanted to the creature so he can keep on living. Victor refuses and runs upstairs. On the castle rooftop, Victor climbs to the top of the tower and installs a device that will connect the creature to the lightning. When he comes down, he finds Henrik begging him to reconsider. He offers all his money and even Elizabeth as payment. Victor refuses again and explains that the cancer has polluted every part of Henrik including his brain and blood. A furious Henrik picks up a piece of the device and threatens to throw it down the tower shaft. Victor tries to take it back and in the struggle, both the piece and Henrik fall down the shaft and Henrik instantly dies. Victor runs downstairs and after checking on the body, he recovers the piece and connects it to the machine. Unfortunately the device is having some trouble so he has to work fast to readjust everything. When the lightning finally strikes, sparks fill the lab and electricity runs through the creature's body. Then Victor disconnects the device and checks on the creature's pulse, but sadly there isn't any. He yells in fury before going to his bedroom, where he dreams of the Dark Angel again. The next morning Victor wakes up when he hears his mother calling his name. When he looks up, he's shocked to find the creature standing in front of him. Victor approaches him and the creature copies all his movements, but he gets afraid of the sunlight when Victor opens the curtains. Victor teaches him that the sun is okay and makes him repeat his name before hugging him to hear his heartbeat. Afterward Victor takes him to a tunnel under the castle and chains him up to keep him hidden for now. As weeks pass, the creature grows stronger but can't learn to talk. Victor barely sleeps at all because he has to take care of him like a newborn, and he hates it when the creature tries to touch him. One day the creature grabs a razor and accidentally hurts himself. Victor gets ready to stitch the wound but to his shock, it's already closed itself. Whenever Victor loses his patience and snaps, the creature moves away in fear. After so many weeks without receiving letters from Henrik, William and Elizabeth decide to visit the castle. Victor tells them that Henrik is away and will be back in a few days, then he drags William to his lab. Meanwhile Elizabeth hears some noises and follows them to the tunnels, where she's shocked to find the creature. They touch hands and she wonders who hurt him. Afterward Elizabeth rushes to the lab and asks Victor why he hurt a man like that. Victor brings the couple to the tunnel and explains that he created him. While the creature gives Elizabeth back her fallen gloves, William wonders if he's intelligent, but Victor doesn't answer. William realizes Victor never thought about which body part holds the soul. That night, the creature entertains himself by putting leaves in the water and watching them float away. When Elizabeth visits him, he gives her a leaf. She tries teaching him to say her name and shows him how to move the throat, but the creature doesn't react. After she leaves, he finally says her name. Victor sees Elizabeth coming back and scolds her, but she only gets offended when Victor calls the creature it. Then Victor rants about the creature's lack of intelligence and blames it on a brain connection failing. However, Elizabeth thinks she saw understanding in the creature's eyes and calls Victor a monster for playing God. A frustrated Victor goes to the tunnel and tries to make the creature stand in a specific way. When he doesn't obey, Victor hits him with a fire poker and unconsciously quotes his father's way of teaching. After getting hit and yelled at several times, the creature roars and takes the poker to easily bend it. He also keeps repeating Victor's name until he leaves. The next morning Victor tells William that he made a mistake and the creature is too dangerous. He also shows him Henrik's body, claiming that the creature killed him. Victor convinces his brother to take Elizabeth away with the excuse of keeping her safe. Before leaving, William asks Victor if the creature will live for long, and Victor assures him that his life will be brief. Afterward Victor pours gasoline all over his lab in the tunnel. At the same time Elizabeth has a bad feeling and asks the carriage to go back. Victor gives the creature one last chance to say something and the creature repeats Victor's and Elizabeth's names. For a second Victor is in shock, but he still thinks it's not enough and lights the building on fire, leaving the creature chained in the tunnel. On his way out, Victor hears the creature desperately crying his name. Having doubts, Victor tries to come back but when he opens the door, a ball of fire throws him back and severely damages his leg. Then the tower blows up in a big explosion and crumbles, so when Elizabeth arrives she thinks she's late. In the present, Anderson hears some screaming outside and opens the door to check. The creature appears and immediately brings him down, intending to kill him. Victor yells to stop him and asks him to take him instead. When Anderson tells him to end them both, the creature decides that the captain deserves to hear his side of the story. During the fire, parts of the device fall down the shaft and scare the creature. In his panic, he manages to break his shackles and escapes by sliding down the drain, falling into the ocean right before the big explosion. Sometime later the creature wakes up on the shore. He wanders around and enters the forest, where he finds the skeletons of all the bodies Victor used and a jacket that he puts on. He's amazed by the sight of deer and feeds them berries before eating some himself. Suddenly a gunshot hits a deer in the head and it falls dead. The creature turns around to find two hunters, who are so terrified by the sight of a monster that they shoot him too. The bullets make him bleed but don't kill him, so the creature runs away. After wandering for a while he finds a farm and hides in the shed. He falls asleep while staring at the rats. The next morning the creature hears the hunters come back and tell their family what happened. Two of the family members are an old blind man and a little girl. The creature spies on them through the cracks in the walls and sometimes follows them to the forest because he's very moved by how gently and lovingly they behave toward each other. The old man is also teaching the girl how to read, and by following these lessons the creature learns how to talk. With every day that passes, the creature wishes he could be part of this lovely family, so he does things for them in secret like leaving wood outside the house and fixing their fences. The blind man tells the girl that this is the work of forest spirits and they leave offerings that the creature happily takes for himself. One day, a pack of wolves surrounds the farm and starts killing the sheep. The creature watches in shock as the hunters shoot down the wolves and learns that not all violence comes from hate, sometimes someone just gets killed for being who they are. Sometime later the family leaves for the winter and the blind man is left alone, so the creature enters the main house. The old man receives him kindly, thinking he's a traveler. When the creature accidentally breaks a bottle he becomes afraid because he expects punishment, but the old man continues to be nice to him. He realizes that this stranger is the person who has been helping them in secret, so he invites him to stay with him and calls him a friend, even hugging him. For the next few days, the creature and the blind man spend all their time together. They go on walks and the creature gets to read many different books. He also reveals he doesn't remember anything about his life before waking up on the shore, although sometimes he dreams about some mysterious man and the word Victor. The old man tells him to follow the images he sees in his dream, so the creature searches the area until he finds the destroyed castle. Among the debris, he discovers Victor's notes and Henrik's photographs, which finally tell him where he comes from. On an envelope, he reads Victor's full name and his address in the city. When the creature returns to the farm, he's horrified to find the wolves in the main house. He rushes inside and the beasts attack him, so he fights back and kills a few of them in the most savage ways. The other wolves get scared and quickly run away. Afterward he checks on the blind man, who is severely wounded but still alive. The creature explains that he's learned he's a monster, however the blind man corrects him and says he's a friend before he dies. At that moment the hunters come back and recognize the creature from the deer incident. They think he killed the old man so they open fire and even stab the creature, but since he doesn't die, they step away in fear. The creature goes outside and the hunters shoot him a few times until he collapses. Then the hunters leave, thinking he's dead. A few hours later, the creature wakes up once his wounds are healed. He realizes he'll never be able to die, so instead he wants a companion for his eternal life. Meanwhile Victor has lost a leg and wears a prosthetic. Every night he dreams about the Dark Angel, who haunts him with guilt. On the night of William's wedding, Victor visits Elizabeth to wish her a happy marriage, but Elizabeth can't stand seeing him and slaps him to force him to leave. It's then revealed that she still has the creature's leaf. Victor returns to his room and finds the balcony door open. When he turns around, the creature comes out of the shadows and asks Victor to make him a companion. Victor refuses to make another monster, so the creature starts throwing him around the room, destroying all the furniture. Elizabeth hears the noise and rushes to Victor's room, getting emotional when she gets to reunite with the creature. Victor uses the distraction to grab his gun and tries to shoot his creation, but Elizabeth defends him and gets shot instead. The noises attract William and all the guests, so Victor tells them that the creature killed Elizabeth. The men jump on the creature to try to capture him, but he's very strong and easily throws everyone off, severely hurting them in the process. Then Elizabeth asks the creature to take her with him, so he picks her up and leaves the room. As they cross the reception area, the rest of the guests step away in horror. Meanwhile Victor checks on William, who blames his brother for everything and says that Victor is the real monster before dying. In a cave nearby, the creature puts Elizabeth down. She says that she never found her place in the world but she's found it in the creature, which has made her eternal. When she finally dies, the creature has a breakdown. Soon Victor enters the cave too and the creature pushes him against the wall, breaking Victor's nose while asking him to kill the creation that he started. Then he runs out of the cave, taunting Victor into a chase. Hungry for revenge, Victor follows the creature for weeks and eventually the chase takes them to the North Pole. After shopping for ammo and dynamite, Victor camps on the ice and waits in his tent. When the creature tries to come in, Victor shoots his hand and causes him to move away. The creature then surprises Victor from behind and drags him out, accidentally knocking out a lamp that sets the tent on fire. The creature then breaks Victor's only leg and cracks his hand when Victor tries to stab him. He takes the knife and stabs Victor on the shoulder before checking his bag. When the creature finds the dynamite, he hopes this will finally do the trick. He forces Victor to light it before letting him run away. However, because of his injuries, Victor can't move fast enough. The dynamite explodes and the shockwave sends Victor rolling down a snow dune, yet the creature is still alive. This is when the crew finds them. In the present, Victor holds the creature's hand and finally apologizes, calling the creature my son and telling him to keep on living. The creature says he forgives him and Victor dies in peace as the creature kisses him on the forehead, calling him father. Afterward, Anderson makes his men step away and lets the creature leave. As thanks, the creature pushes the ship to finally free it from the ice. As the ship sails away, the creature stares at the sun like Victor taught him. Make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you can watch more videos like this. Thanks for watching.